Wow. Okay. It worked. Crazy. I think I'm actually live right now. Let's do this. Sorry, everybody. I'm about 10 minutes late because I've been trying like heck to get this YouTube live to work for the last 10 minutes. We got a vicious windstorm where I live that knocked out power. Our generator's running right now. Our internet's been in and out. And I thought I was about to have to cancel this and do it tomorrow, but at the 11th hour, the live works. And so here we are. I'll try to get through this as quick as I can because the power could go out any second, and then we'll all be screwed. Okay. Everyone still got me? There was just like a click somewhere in the back of my house as if something happened to the power. Melanie, I see you. Never been happier to have a rest there. Yeah, I actually am a day behind. My week got screwed up, so today I have to do the wall ball pull-up deal. Yeah. So anyway, before we get into this, I'm just going to give some shout outs. We've got a ton of shout outs. Not my fault. Don't blame me. People just keep doing cool stuff and I like to share it. So we just recently had the Swamp Donkey, right? One of the Linchpin monthly fitness tests. And it's work up to a heavy 1 rep max deadlift. And then there was just a biscuit burner after that. But it's funny. People get so darn strong doing Linchpin. Kenji, I see you. And we're not a strength program, right? We're a strength and conditioning program. And we do what we do because it works. It works better than lifting heavy every day, as far as I'm concerned. And the deadlift weights were just insane. So I'm going to share a bunch of the deadlift weights that everyone had. This is not an all-inclusive list. This is just who I happen to just, screen grab casually every now and then on my phone. So I'm not going to get everybody my apologies, but let's see. Okay, this is from Yarmo L. Something happened today. In a few months, I will be 57 years old, and I deadlifted an all-time PR of 166 kilograms, and I only deadlift when Linchpin programs it. So for all of us US people here, 57 years old, lifetime PR on the deadlift, no strength bias, 166 kilograms is 365 pounds for lifetime PR at 57 years old. That's pretty awesome. Okay, next one. This is a cool one from Stephanie H. I've been with Linchpin since October, and I've now experienced my first what the heck effect. After a pretty major back injury a couple years ago that wasn't CrossFit related, I lost a ton of strength. The most I could deadlift post-recovery was around 245 pounds, which I recall barely getting off the ground. That's humbling when pre-injury, your lifetime max was 310. Since joining Linchpin, my focus has been only on consistency, nothing more. I scale about 90% of the workouts, and I don't run the clock that often by choice. I embrace the limited equipment option, which is the dumbbells, because I like to live dangerously, and I'm pretty sure that the dumbbells are the devil. So today, to lift 260 pounds was an absolute shock, and I was giddy. For somebody who struggles immensely with self-image and being proud of herself, it was a shock to say the least. Best part, I had another 10 pounds in me, but I decided to be controlled. As they say, Linchpin works even for a 45-year-old soccer mom with a bad back. That's awesome. Next one from Chris B. Deadlift, 455 pounds, an all-time PR. I started CrossFit in September of 2023 after many years of a sedentary lifestyle, and it feels awesome. My previous PR was 425 pounds, and now he just pulled 455. And we don't deadlift all the time. We don't even lift heavy all the time. This one is cool. Simpson H posted a video of his wife, and she went ahead and hit a PR of 300 pounds on the deadlift. She had a goal and she crushed it. We've been enjoying this Linchpin program and the community for 3 years now, and we look forward to many more. Very, very cool. Congratulations. 300 pounds is a monster deadlift. This is from Eric H. I've been looking forward to today. 400-pound deadlift was a goal before I turned 41 years old in a couple months, and on this day, he deadlifted 400 pounds, which, by the way, was an increase of 45 pounds from his previous deadlift. That's a monster jump. Next one. This one warms my heart. This one is from Dee Dee M. Dee Dee posted her deadlift a while ago, but not that long ago. Within the last couple months, I want to say. And I think she pulled like 180 pounds. And she said she had this rivalry with her husband who kind of said she has a deadlift goal of 200 pounds. And he was like, that's cool, but it's just not in the cards. You're never going to deadlift 200 pounds in this phase of life. Sorry, it's just not going to happen. A couple days ago, Dee Dee, after a long time trying to get to this point, I finally broke 200 pounds. Thanks, coach, and I can't wait to tell my husband. That one made me so happy. That is legit. Did I do this one? We did. Okay, let's see. This one here. This is from Justin D. Let's see. Just increased his, he already had a monster deadlift and he just set a 5-pound PR. So now his deadlift is 480 pounds. It's insane. This is from Shauna K. I was down with the flu all last week, so I went in with no expectations. And oh, guess what? 30 pounds heavier than the last time we did a single. So today she went ahead and set a new lifetime PR of 255 pounds. Demise A, new all-time PR of 200 kilograms, 200 kgs. What is that? 440? 200 times 2.2, 440 pounds. Ridiculous deadlift. Okay. Oh, I mean, again, I could just keep going. Oh, this one. Okay. Buck was already strong. And he somehow set an adult deadlift PR of 510 pounds. 510 pounds. No strength bias. So, yeah. Okay. And, all right. I got stuff all open on my desktop here. And this was, of course, cool. Natalie. We did an interview with Natalie T, and I think it comes out next week. She's a former, powerlifter, serious powerlifter, where she broke or set state records in Florida, like that level of powerlifting. And I think when she was at her peak, her deadlift was 465 pounds as just a life revolves around powerlifting deal. That's been years since that happened. And she's had babies since then, the whole 9 yards. And now doing the strength work program at Linchpin, she pulled a 425 pound deadlift. So that's amazing and obnoxious all at the same time. Okay. All right. Last one. Again, I could keep going with last one. This one is from Rick S. And this is pretty cool. So today, he went ahead and hit a deadlift of 455 pounds, so a strong deadlift. And then on the following day, when we had the 3 1-mile runs, his first mile was in 5:57. His second mile was in 6 minutes and 5 seconds. And his last mile was in 6 minutes and 8 seconds. So for that level of speed and conditioning, without just being a running program, and then to pull a 455-pound deadlift the day before, again, it's all of you out there are putting in the work, you're being consistent, and good things happen. Okay, let's get into it. Here we are. Sorry, I just needed a shot of caffeine. First question from Miranda G. Do you have a favorite website or other resources for recipes? No, I do not. Sorry for the short answer, but it's just the truth. Does your family meal plan? No, we do not. We could be a lot better in this area. We eat well, but we don't plan it out like this is Monday, this is Tuesday, this is Wednesday. And anytime that we do that, we keep it up for like a week and then we fall off for 6 weeks. So basically what we just try to do is keep the fridge stocked with some good quality meats, some fruits and vegetables that are ready in there so that we have options, and whatever we just randomly decide to make that night, we're going to have something decent to make because the fridge is actually stocked. That's what we do. So for example, I have no idea what's for dinner tonight. I did notice this morning that my wife pulled out like a 2-pound frozen block of hamburger meat or ground beef, whatever you want to call it, from the freezer, and that's thawing on our kitchen counter right now. So she must have something percolating in her mind that's going to use that tonight. I have no idea what it is. And tomorrow night, it might shift to me, and I'll have to figure out what it is. And that's kind of how we do it. Oh, also says she's loving the VNR jump rope program. Cool. Um, I will say the only thing I really do for like meal prep is on the weekend, I'll try to grill just a ton of chicken breast or chicken thighs or some sort of chicken something and just put it in containers in the fridge so that during the week I have something easy for lunch or whatnot. Again, just making it easier for me to make a better choice, but I don't have a good website that we go to regularly. Why do wall balls, and this from Jody D, why do wall balls and thrusters want to kill me? Any tips on not dying fast on these? So wall balls and thrusters are tough because of just the benefits of like compound movements, and they are high power producing movements, in that classic definition of moving a large load a long distance quickly. Movements that allow an athlete to do that are usually quite systemically challenging, devastating, difficult head to toe, and the range of motion on a thruster and a wall ball is huge. It's tough to get a larger range of motion from below parallel to pressing out overhead. And generally speaking, you're not going to be doing thrusters with 225 pounds or wall balls with 90 pounds. So you're going to have a load on the bar, which is going to allow you to do either a 21-15-9 or 15-12-9 or sets of whatever it happens to be with larger number of repetitions. And so you're cycling this compound head to toe multi-joint movement frequently, and that is very devastating and taxing. What can you do to make them better? Assuming you don't have any like positional issues, I mean, this might be an unsatisfying answer, but like everything that we're doing should continue to help that. Growing your 1 rep maxes, getting better body weight movements, improving your stamina and your conditioning, rowing, running, biking, like all of those things in combination are going to help you do that. But not one of them in isolation is going to help it. The person who has the strongest 1 rep max front squat is not necessarily the best person at 150 wall balls for time. Those two are not directly related, so because there are plenty of people that are super strong and they have no engine. So we've got to develop all these components at once. Now, somebody, Eric, mentioned to focus on breathing as well, and that can be a very big thing. Make sure that you're not just holding your breath unnecessarily, because then you're not feeding the system with oxygen and things are going to implode. But I will say on a lot of these things, it's usually not a strength component that fails first. It's usually a cardiorespiratory endurance component. So that pure, beautiful conditioning. And so there's a really good chance that if you did everything that you're doing every day and you took 30 seconds off your 1 mile time, you would notice an improvement in wall balls, even though your running is not below parallel, it's not overhead, and doesn't involve throwing an object. Because a lot of times on a movement like a thruster and a wall ball, it is that body's ability to process oxygen plays a huge role. And so just make sure, and I'm sure that you are, not blowing off the conditioning days, putting the same effort into those that you would into anything else. There's another wall ball thruster question down the road, I believe. If not two more, that we'll also tackle. So yes, pay attention to your conditioning, make sure that you're breathing. And then there are some other things I have, but I will hit them up here in a later question. Oh, here, this is from Shauna K. 2 questions. And actually, this involves wall balls and pull-ups. First question, how to approach finding 1 rep max without feeling like my nervous system is shot by the time I truly approach my max. For example, 1 rep max for deads was 260. So on Monday, I opened up 8 at 135, and then 5 at 165, 3 at 185, and then singles from there, making 10 to 20 pound jumps until it started feeling heavy. By the time I got to 255, I was pretty cooked. Am I doing too many weights that are too light at the beginning? Maybe, but maybe not. I mean, again, sorry, an unsatisfying answer, but this is highly specific. I know plenty of people that creep like TLC, and that works really well for them. And by the time they slowly step up to their top end weight, their body's primed, they're feeling good, and they hit it. And I know just as many people on the other side of the fence that would be a recipe for disaster for them. And they would much prefer to do a smaller number of overall deadlifts with potentially larger sets. And so it sounds like if this is what you normally do, then what I would recommend is you try in the future just switching this up a little bit. Do fewer reps, make some larger jumps, as long as you feel comfortable and safe doing that, obviously. Um, but for example, oh, I just had something in my head. What you didn't mention, and I'm not sure how this plays into this, the rep range that you said, there's nothing wrong with that. Another key factor just might be how much rest are you or are you not taking between the warm-up sets? Because it might be, those warm-up sets still add up. And people might be, okay, like I'm going to do a 5x5 deadlift. And when I do get to my 5x5, well, then I'll really respect the rest periods and take 3 or 4 minutes rest between those sets of 5. But on my warm-up sets, maybe I take a minute and I keep stacking on the weight and rest a minute because I just want to get to the working set. So I rush through the warm-up sets. Well, now, okay, maybe the loading was lighter compared to what your working numbers are going to be. But due to the decreased rest that you gave yourself, it's still very systemically taxing to your musculature, to your central nervous system. So again, without having more information on that, you could try a different approach with how quickly you get to your top end sets, or you could try the same approach that you laid out with more rest. Okay, because I'll tell you, when I build up my warm up weights, when it's super light at the beginning, let's say I'm going to pull 4 1/4 for a deadlift. And the first weight I have is 135 in the bar, and I do like 5 reps of that. And then I throw 185 in the bar. Well, from 135 to 185, I might just rest 1 minute. And then if I'm going to go from 185 to 225, I might rest 2 minutes. And then I'm going to go from 225 to 275. I'm probably going to rest 3 minutes. And then from 275, maybe I go to 315. I'm not resting any less than 3 minutes, I can tell you that, maybe 4. I go to 350, like, so my rest periods actually increase during the warm-up periods as I start to approach heavier loads. So maybe that will help you as well. Second part of your question, Melanie, thank you. Glad you appreciated the TLC reference there. What was that movie where they kept bringing up TLC? The Other Guys, right, with Will Ferrell. For a workout with higher volume sets like today's wall ball and pull-ups workout, if I want to build my capacity for these movements, I'm still working on my first strict pull-up, is it better to start with bigger sets and then do what I can on the back half of the workout, or should I keep smaller sets that I know I can stay consistent with throughout? Great question. And so here's what I would say. I think to some degree you almost answered your own question. If you do these small sets, small rest, small sets, small rest, and Adrian and I actually talked about this a while ago in a VNR, maybe it hasn't launched yet. You said you can stay consistent with that protocol, right? Okay, so maybe another way to say that is, if you can stay consistent with it, you're kind of not challenging yourself and you're kind of not getting outside your comfort zone. That's your safe rep scheme that you know you can maintain. Well, if we want to get some adaptation, we have to take a little bit of a calculated risk here. If you struggle with the larger sets, and that's maybe exactly where you need to be. And so bite off a larger set of the wall balls. And yes, you know, maybe the last 3, 4, 5 sets are going to just feel like a slice of hell, of misery, of getting it up there, right? And that's going to force you to take a bigger set, a bigger rest, I mean. And then you come back for another bigger set that really gets you outside your comfort zone. You have to take a bigger rest. But you are now dipping your toe exactly in the water of where you need to be, which is doing bigger sets. You have to experience it. You have to fight through it. And you're going to have to initially allow yourself some larger rest periods. And if you start to apply this to more workouts, little by little, you'll get more used to taking larger sets, and the rest periods that you need will gradually decrease, and that's a good thing. You know that, and that's why there's a difference. Like, the clock's a beautiful thing. I'm trying to not to go down a rabbit hole here. The clock's a beautiful thing, but what many of us can do and fall into this trap is you work out enough, and now you have maybe figured out in your mind, what do I need to do into this workout to get the best outcome with regards to the clock? And sometimes that's also the best outcome for where you need to be as an athlete, but sometimes it's not. And Sean, I think your question is an excellent example of that. I gave an example of myself that I think plays well into your question on a previous AMA, but I'll say it again. And that was on one of the Linchpin fitness monthly fitness tests. I think it was Broken Frog, with the 4 rounds for time of a 500-meter row and 12 bench press at 155 for the men. That bench press loading and rep range is good for me. And I know that if I want to get a really good time that like makes me feel good on the leaderboard on that 4 round workout, I need to row a 2 minute per 500. That's comfortably uncomfortable. But I know that I can maintain it and still be a hero on the bench press and take the smallest breaks overall, which is going to yield me the fastest time. And I can stay in that comfort zone forever. But I'm a better bench presser than I am rower. Okay, so now thinking about that example, what did I just do? If I'm a better bench presser than I am rower, well, what's going to make me a better athlete? Getting better at rowing, right? And what exactly am I doing in that workout? Not taking a chance on the row so that I can shine on the movement that I'm already good at. That's just human nature, right? I have the same human things as everybody else. So actually what I need to do to be a better athlete is allow myself to get a worse time on that workout, because I'm going to make myself dive into the area that I'm a little suckier at. I'm not good on the rower. So you know what I should do next time? No matter how much it hurts and how much I just hate life, I should pull something in the low 150s per 500 instead of a 2 minute per 500. That is going to cost me when I slide under the barbell at the bench press. I will have to break up the bench press way more than I normally do, and that will yield a slower overall time. But it will force me to work hard in exactly the area that I need to improve, which is rowing. So, long-winded way to say, if where you need to be is biting off bigger sets, but that's going to make you do bigger sets of rest also, and that might make you not have the time that you want, then screw the time. Do what you need to do to become a better athlete. And so hopefully that helps. Terry G. I'm going to take one more quick drink here. We're about to start some pretty extensive home renovations. A, congratulations. That sounds awesome. B, that's just going to be some family stress right there. We're about to start some pretty extensive home renovations, and so we'll be a little out of routine and not at home for some weeks. Any tips on maintaining fitness/strength and a routine during this time? I know we have the limited equipment, no equipment option, which is great, but any other tips, for example, how to work around not having a pull-up bar? So you already nailed it. First of all, bring the dumbbells with you. If you've got dumbbells, a can-do attitude, and a set of go-fasters, aka what the military calls your running shoes, you have everything you need. Everything you need. And with regards to the pull-ups, I would just do, depending upon if you can find something to do pull-ups on, or bring a set of rings and throw the straps over something and do ring rows. Those would be great options. Towel pull-ups on something, great options. But if you don't have any of those things, you can do bent over rows with the dumbbells. 100% in place the pull-ups. Is it ideal? No. Being displaced from your home for several weeks isn't ideal either, and it will get the job done. And I've got countless stories of people who have embraced the dumbbell option for an extended period of time, got back and found everything was just good to go. Other things I would just say is, since your life's going to be a bit disrupted, give yourself the grace to not worry about making every workout perfect. You might be rushed for time. You're not going to be in your normal space. A lot of things are going to be not exactly how you would like them to be. That's okay. Modify as needed. Be creative. Again, take the pressure off of yourself. Replicate the workout as best as you can to whatever the limited equipment option is that day, and things will be good to go by the time you get back, unquestionably. And if you have any specific questions on a workout on any particular day and you're just can't quite figure out how to exactly make it work, post that question in the private Facebook group or in the squad feature in BTWB, and myself, somebody else will jump in there and help you make a good decision. Good luck with the home renovation. Okay, Brian T. I very much want to get my first strict ring muscle up. Very cool goal. But I struggle to quote unquote get comfortable attempting the low ring muscle ups. I have 3 to 5 consecutive strict chest to bar pull ups. That's awesome. And my strict dip capacity is solid. Perfect. I have 10-foot ceilings in my wife's part of the garage. My gym is on the other side, which is a single car with 9-foot ceilings. Thoughts on hanging high rings in her garage and trying to work through the ring muscle up that way? You certainly could do that. It sounds like you've got a nice, your strict chest to bar pull up capacity, the strict ring dip capacity. I'm not sure what you mean when you say you struggle to get comfortable attempting the low ring muscle ups. I don't know exactly what you mean by get comfortable because the low ring muscle ups, and I know I trumpet this all the time, are phenomenal. I mean, and maybe I should make another video on them. Um, I mean, just playing with how much leg you do or don't use, like you will get that first strict ring muscle up. And then you can increase the difficulty by not having your feet on the ground. You can put your feet on a box so that your butt is just a little bit off the ground and you get your feet up on a box and you can make it, again, as difficult or as easy as you want. And the other great thing about the low ring muscle up, um, is your ability using some leg assist to really hone in and focus on that one area that usually is the sticky point for people, which is the transition, which is I've got the rings, I'm bringing them down, the rings are right around my chest level, and now I need to go from this position. If you're listening to this later on, you'll see what I'm talking about. My hands are on my chest, and I have to rotate around my chest and get into that deep dip position. That transition is the crux of the ring muscle up and the trickiest point, strength wise, technical wise, the whole 9 yards. And that's usually where people who have sufficient upper body pulling capacity and sufficient ring dip capacity seem to struggle. And what you can do with the low ring muscle ups is just work that position back and forth using just enough leg as needed to do 3 to 5 reps of just the transition and become so strong at the transition that then when you get to the rings and you get there, you'll have this comfort level and familiarity with it and understand the transition to get through. And you also want to make sure that you have developed ample false grip strength to maintain a really good false grip throughout the entire process of the strict ring muscle up. Because a lot of people think they have a good false grip, but they don't understand just how much you need to have the rings just cutting a line from almost the web of your hand down to the wrist right there and just be able to maintain that at a true 90 the entire time. That in and of itself is really difficult and can be developed also with the low ring muscle ups. But you can hang them in the high areas, as you said there. And I do see Kenji in the YouTube comments says, I cannot recommend the VNR strict ring muscle up program enough. I just got my first one the other day. Congratulations, my friend. Yes, shameless plug, not from me, from Kenji. So variednotrandom.com. We've got a get your first strict ring muscle up program that people enjoy. So Brian, I hope that helps. And maybe you've motivated me to make another video there about the low ring muscle ups. There's at least 2 low ring muscle up videos on the CrossFit Linchpin YouTube channel under instructional videos if you want to search for those. Okay. Austin T. I've been trying to focus on nailing down my strict pull-ups. Fantastic. I end up doing banded pull-ups for higher rep workouts, but what should I do or switch to once I start reaching failure on the band? Okay, so it sounds like you've got some strict pull-ups because you said you'll use the band on higher rep workouts, which leads me to believe on lower rep workouts, you don't need the band, if I'm interpreting this correctly. So once you start to reach failure on higher rep workouts with the band, 2 things pop into my mind, which is either number 1, just allow yourself to rest. Like if you give yourself enough rest, you'll recover from failure. and get back out there. You want to dance with the devil, but I wouldn't recommend actually going to failure on a set of pull-ups like in most workouts. So as you're knocking on that door of failure, hop off, take the rest you need, and come back out and try to ride that line. But if you do hit the point of failure, that's okay. You're just going to need a bit more rest. Nothing wrong with that. So allow yourself the more rest, and then you can get back up there and on the band and start doing strict pull-ups. Or if you don't have one, maybe invest in more than one band. And so if you do hit that failure with that band that you said, you could go to a different band that gives you even more help. Either one of those could work really well. Let's see. Demise A. Mobility routines for accessory workouts, or maybe a potential topic for a new varied not random mobility routine program. Interesting concept. I'll talk to Boz about that. We'll probably keep the accessory work how the accessory work normally is, and if you have a particular mobility issue that you need, like more ankle flexion or something like that, I would, quite frankly, just put that into Google and YouTube, and you will find countless free resources for that. Let's see. Okay, Chris, here we go. Although not a fitness question specifically, what is your take on polyester workout clothes and these PFASs, which are forever plastics? Seems like none of it is great for us. Curious if you avoid it because everyone I know wears polyester or moisture wicking clothing. So, man, yes. And so I'm going to be honest with you, Chris. The like forever plastics thing, the black spatula, the black kitchen spatula, plastic spatula of death. I was aware of that, but the polyester fabrics, I think, eluded me. So I looked into that here, and it said, polyester fabrics can cause health concerns related to skin irritation, microplastics, and chemical exposure. Polyester fibers can rub against the skin, causing redness, itching, or rashes. I personally never experienced that. Can make existing skin conditions worse for people with sensitive skin. I guess luckily I don't have that. Can cause acne flare-ups if it traps sweat against the skin. Luckily I haven't had that happen to me. Microplastics. Polyester garments can shed microplastics when washed or dried. Microplastics can enter the food chain and in the human body through ingestion or inhalation. And microplastics have been found in beer, shellfish, salt, and darn near everything else. Let's see, they're full of harmful chemicals. Heat can cause them to come into the skin. People can develop allergic reactions. Polyester doesn't allow your skin to breathe, etc., etc. To be quite honest with you, I have no idea what my workout clothes are made out of. I believe most of my shirts are cotton, like the one I'm wearing now, or at least a mixture of cotton. Maybe there's polyester, I don't know. My shorts, I actually have no darn idea. So I just didn't know that death was lurking for me in my shorts. And then like the forever plastics thing, the PFASs, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but I was familiar with those. Group of chemicals resistant to heat, water, oil, and grease. They're found in many products, including cookware, clothing, and firefighting foams. They don't break down easily. They build up in the environment and in living things. They've been linked to serious health effects, including liver damage, increasing your risk of various cancers. And PFASs have been found in the blood of people around the world, including 99% of Americans. 99%. So we're all full of these things, apparently, at this moment. I don't know what my good answer to this question is, to be quite honest with you. I just feel like, we've had a black plastic kitchen spatula like every other person in the world that I know for so many years that I don't know if the damage is already done, because I've been using that thing for decades. And then in the last year or two or whenever, kind of became the thing, and then, well, we switched it out. We've got a wooden one in there. Seems to be okay. I don't know if next year they're going to find out that, I don't know, something in the wood does it. Beats me. Long story short, between what's going on with the black plastic spatula, everything I read about how every crop is produced in the United States and all the chemicals and pesticides and whatever that are found when they test basically every food that we consume every day, even when it's not fast food. It's just like, oh my goodness. It's just like overwhelming. Like, I just don't know how I'm going to avoid all these things, from my clothing to my food to agriculture to things that I can't change. Like, and this is not being cynical or whatever. Like, it's a legitimate problem and it's a sad state of affairs that industry has gotten to the point that these regular things that you take for granted and you've been using for so long, suddenly someone is like, oh, by the way, this is poisoning you, this is killing you. So we're trying we're trying to make the best decisions that we can here in the old Sherwood household, and I'm sure we're doing okay in some areas and falling quite short in some other areas. But we're trying. We just my wife actually just recently bought a whole bunch of like glass containers, and we're starting to use less of like the plastic Tupperware that everyone used for ever and ever and ever and ever. And so we're slowly trying to make these changes. Yeah, it's a lot. Okay, Josh B. A couple questions. The LSIT seems to be a favorite of yours. Clearly, they're challenging, but it seems to me, unlike, let's say, hollow rocks, the L position is not one we're in very often. I wonder what makes it so useful in your view. So, I would also say that the hollow rock position, yeah, you're in it for like passing through like a kipping pull up or whatnot, but in many other areas in life, we're not like walking around in like a hollow. It's not found too many areas in like in natural life, and so that just has to be taken into account as well. And I would say that LSIT is not um, necessarily a favorite. It's just one of many ways we have to develop midline strength that doesn't include a barbell, because midline strength can be developed through deadlifts, back squats, and all kinds of other things. And what's really cool about the LSIT is you can't, for lack of a better way to say it, fake your way through the midline and hip flexor strength needed to excel at that movement. Whereas on a toes to bar or something like that, you might be able to hide a weak midline through your gymnastics kip ability. I mean, it's quite possible, but if you've got a solid LSIT, you've earned that. And you've got a rock solid midline, period, end of story. And I would much rather have somebody demonstrate significant capacity with the LSIT than the hollow, than like a toes bar or something like that. It's just a brute. And saying that it's one of my favorites, I do enjoy it, but it's one that we just rotate through at a cadence with many other midline movements as well. So I bet if you went back and went over the last 8, 10, 12, 16 weeks of Linchpin, and any time that there was a midline movement, see how many times LSIT came up or another one, I think you'd find that it doesn't come up any more frequently than anything else. Midline movements would include that we make our way through ab mat sit-ups, GHD sit-ups, kipping toes to bar, strict toes to bar, kipping knees to elbows, strict knees to elbows, V-ups, hollow rocks, L-sits, side plank holds, candlesticks. All of those are going to make their way through, and the L-sit, has its role as well. Last week's push press box jump Russian kettlebell swing triplet. What were the kettlebell swings were in there, if memory serves, because I wanted a hinging at the hip, a bracing of the midline, and something to kind of keep the stress on the glutes and hamstrings that would make what seemed to be a reasonable rep range and a relatively approachable load, such as 95 pounds for men, more difficult in a sneaky way, while also making it difficult for the athlete to recover their breath as well. And the kettlebell swing, the Russian kettlebell swing specifically, worked quite well for that. What do you think of substituting GHD sit-ups for V-ups? I temporarily have access to a GHD and I'm trying to make the most of it. Yeah, if you regularly don't have um, access to a GHD and now you will and you won't have it forever, so you want to use it, by all means, go right ahead. The only thing I would say is, based upon what you said, it sounds like you don't have regular exposure to the GHD. And so now, if you're going to jump right in and start to use it all the time, you could put yourself in a world of hurt. The GHD sit ups are something which need to be significantly respected for how devastating they can be to your midline. And so I would really take a crawl, walk, run approach with that, lowering the intensity and lowering the number of repetitions you're going to do and building up a tolerance to the GHD. I wouldn't recommend anybody who hasn't had exposure to the GHD just kind of jumps on and goes hog wild. I don't think that would be a good call. Megan S. I can do ring and bar muscle ups singles, but they're not very sound technically, and I have a chicken arm a lot, chicken wing. I used to be able to string more together a few years ago, but then my gym stopped programming them. I have over 10 strict pull ups. Congratulations, that's awesome, by the way. Would you recommend doing jumping muscle ups in a workout with strict muscle ups, with muscle ups, or will I eventually just get there? So, what I would say is the 10 strict pull ups are great. I would want to see you develop some good strict chest to bar pull ups and then also strict ring dips as well. And this relates to the other question that we went back on is I would also embrace that low ring muscle up and I would become a beast at the transition. And I would also develop muscular stamina by using just enough leg to do a larger number of repetitions with a lowering muscle up than you would be able to do. If you can do singles, let's say on ring muscle ups, well, then do the lowering muscle ups and use just enough leg that doing a set of 5 feels like an absolute max effort. And you have to rest 3 to 4 minutes and then you do a set of 5 and something like that and build up that tolerance. The lowering muscle ups are also a great place to work the eccentric load as well, where you can use a lot of leg to get to the top of the ring muscle up and then slowly try to do this going from the support position on the rings to all the way locked arms over your head, what would be the start position of ring muscle up, and have going from support to start, so a reverse, so to speak, have that take 10 seconds. And that will make you really strong as well. For the upper body pulling capacity, there's something that Dave Durante said, Power Monkey guy, former Olympian, knows a lot, is he always kind of said, he said something along the lines of he'll do pull-ups every now and then and he won't just stop at the chin or just stop at the chest. Like each time he grabs a pull-up bar, he'll just pull as high as he can. And so if it's a deeper pull than even a strict chest to bar would be, he was kind of like, why are we arbitrarily stopping at the chin, or arbitrarily we just defined as long as you're between the clavicle and the sternum, that's a chest to bar pull-up. Like, why not pull deeper if you can? It's a good range of motion to develop that strength in. And if you probably do some pull-ups like that every now and then, the deepest pull that you can, pulling yourself as high as possible, that's only going to be your friend when you attempt to do these ring muscle ups. Okay. Final question from Mike M. We're roughly the same age. I enjoyed all the talk about resetting PRs every 5 years, etc. I've also been training for about 30 years. Do you have any data from some older members where progress is slowing down the decline? What does that look like? How will we know if our training is effective and when the outcome is delaying decline and not making improvements? So Mike, there's not a specific data set or paper that's been published as far as I know on this particular topic. And what that's going to look like for each person is most certainly going to be a little bit different. And depending upon how old you are and what your numbers are, how are you going to measure progress later in life? It's an interesting question. I would say, what are you training for? Okay, so for me, not trying to go to the games, don't care about any competition really, not trying to impress anybody. The fact that let's say that you're 50 years old. I'm going to throw that out there. If you're 50 years old and you're training 5 times a week, and you're squatting, and you're deadlifting, and you're doing strict pull-ups, and you're working your L-sit, and you're doing 3 by 1 mile runs, um, let's say that, like you said, you've been training for 30 years, so you could be in that phase of life where you might never touch a 1 rep max deadlift. You might never set a new 1 mile PR time. You might, but let's say that you don't. But you're continuing to stack those bricks and train like that, and you've got your nutrition under control. Um, what does success like? What does success look like or progress look like later in life? If you are continuing to stack those fitness bricks, to embrace functional movements, compound movements, to train with intensity at whatever frequency that makes sense for whatever phase of life that you're in, I would say that's the progress right there. If you're 50 and you're doing that, you are a unique and rare animal walking around the United States of America. I would say look left and look right the next time you find yourself in a shopping mall, and I think you will be immediately aware of the progress that you are making and will continue to make, almost regardless of the load that's on the back squat or regardless of the time it takes you to run a mile. The mere fact that you are engaging in those activities puts you in rarefied air. And the mere fact that you pay attention to the nutrients that go in your mouth and you don't just shovel processed food in there and watch your waistline expand every year, I would say makes you a unique creature. The sort of creature that when you go to the doctor for an annual checkup and you're in your early 50s, the doctor generally says, just keep up whatever you're doing. Roger that, doc. That's what I'll do. So, all right, everybody. I'm so happy that the power actually stayed on the entire time. So enjoy your rest day. Again, I'm a day behind, so I don't have a rest day. I have to do wall balls and pull-ups. Ugh. Have a great day. Enjoy your rest day, and we will talk soon.